David Robinson was one of the most unique and dominant big men the NBA has ever seen. At a towering 7 feet 1, the Admiral was a physical monster, blending size, strength, speed, and skill into a complete package that the NBA had never seen before. On both ends of the floor, Robinson was a game changer, a two-way nightmare who could take over a game in an instant. His athleticism, agility, and skill set were years ahead of his time, redefining what a big man could do in the NBA. Even today, when we look at the modern game, his influence is undeniable. He wasn't just a dominant player, he was a blueprint for the future. But how exactly did the Admiral transform himself from a raw, athletic, and hyped prospect into a complete, polished, and bona fide basketball Hall of Famer? These are the skills of David Robinson, explained. Every NBA player's journey to the league is unique, especially if you're the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. But David Robinson's was genuinely unlike any others before or since. The San Antonio Spurs selected him with the first overall pick in the 1987 NBA draft, but fans would have to wait for quite a while to see their new superstar take the court. Robinson had attended the United States Naval Academy, where he had won the NCAA Player of the Year in 1987, but his military commitment required him to serve before joining the pros. Typically, graduates of the Naval Academy had a 5-year service requirement, but Robinson, obviously being an absolute tower of a man, was too tall to serve as a line officer aboard a ship. Instead, he was commissioned as a reserve officer in the Navy's Civil Engineering Corps, serving just 2 years before officially entering the league for the 1989 to 1990 NBA season. Fortunately for San Antonio, all of this would be well worth it, as Robinson finally debuted in the 1989-90 season, and his impact was immediate. From the moment he stepped onto the court, Robinson played like a seasoned superstar, not a rookie finding his footing. He dominated his way to the Rookie of the Year award, posting jaw-dropping numbers. 24.3 points per game, more than LeBron James in his first year. 12 rebounds per game, surpassing Patrick Ewing's rookie rebounding numbers. And 3.9 blocks per game, which still remains the greatest blocking average by anyone who has ever won the Rookie of the Year award. But perhaps most impressive, the Spurs improved their record by an incredible 35 wins, finishing the season at 56-26, the best record in franchise history at that point. Robinson's debut into the big leagues remains one of the greatest rookie seasons in NBA history. The Admiral's athletic ability at the center position was nothing short of revolutionary. Robinson's speed and quickness were his greatest strengths, making him a rare breed of big man. At his peak, he could run the floor like an elite small forward, attack the basket with guard-like agility, and move laterally in ways that made him a defensive menace. Much like the Greek freak in today's NBA, Robinson was a beast in transition on both ends of the floor. With his combination of size, speed, and strength, he was nearly impossible to stop in the open court, as he was either chasing down shots or throwing down thunderous slams. Robinson's physical gifts extended beyond his unique speed for his size. In a league historically filled with leaner athletes who fly through the air, the Admiral was one of the most brolic and muscular players in NBA history. And in his prime, this was not what a center looked like. While many of his positional peers in the late 80s and early 90s struggled with upper body strength, David Robinson looked less like a basketball player and more like a bodybuilder. His towering frame, combined with sheer muscle, made him an overwhelming presence on both ends of the floor. Whether attacking the rim or locking down the paint, Robinson used his strength to his advantage whenever possible when he played. With this stacked frame and elite athleticism, Robinson was a relentless rebounder, often securing second-chance points with his tenacity on the offensive glass, and on defense, he would use his strength to box out opponents with ease to secure boards. Between the 14 seasons the Admiral played in the NBA, Robinson grabbed the most total rebounds by a center, with almost 10,500 boards. David Robinson was also one of the greatest left-handed players the game has ever seen, and that in and of itself was somewhat of a hidden weapon. His left-handedness made him significantly more unpredictable. On offense, it gave him an obvious advantage when attacking the rim, forcing most right-handed defenders into more awkward and unnatural positions just to have a chance at stopping him. And on defense, his skilled left gave him the ability to contest shots and disrupt passing lanes from angles that opponents simply weren't used to, leaving them more vulnerable to Robinson. It's a small detail, but one that added another layer of frustration for opposing coaches trying to prepare for David Robinson. David Robinson's post-game, while dangerous like that of many great centers of his era, possessed a unique flavor, a style all his own. He had one of the quickest fadeaways in the NBA, a weapon that made him nearly unguardable. The second he caught the ball on the block, he was already turning, rising, and by the time defenders reacted, it was too late. The shot was gone. Besides that, however, his bread and butter was his face-up game, which was definitely a deviation from his lumbering peers. From this position, his running hook shot became a consistent move for Robinson. His speed got him to his spot before defenders could react, and his length made contesting his hook almost impossible. And if you tried to sag off, daring him to take the shot, he'd punish you with one of the smoothest and, surprisingly, most efficient mid-range jump shots of his time. The Admiral had an underrated jumper that was absolutely lethal from mid-range, stretching defenses out further than the majority of the big men in his era. His career shooting percentage from 16 feet to the three-point line was a shocking 41.5%, which is better than both LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, who have shot 38.6% and 40.2% respectively from that range. This ability forced defenders to respect his shooting from anywhere within the three-point arc, opening up opportunities for his lightning-quick first step, which most centers guarding him had no chance to keep up with. If a defender bit on his pump fake, Robinson would explode past them for an easy basket. For everything he brings to the table offensively, David Robinson complements that by being one of the greatest defensive players of all time. His quickness allowed him to be one of the best help defenders in NBA history, often reacting in an instant to swat shots or disrupt plays. His ability to jump off 2 feet and get off the ground quickly helped make him a shot-swatting machine, regularly ranking among the league leaders in blocks. But he wasn't just about blocking shots. He also had incredibly quick reflexes, leading to steals at a rate rarely seen for a center. In the 1991-92 season, Robinson became one of only 2 players in NBA history to average 2+ steals per game and 4+ blocks per game in a single season. With today's NBA focusing more on perimeter shooting and fewer shot attempts at the rim, plus adding the steals on top of that, and it's very unlikely we'll ever see a player replicate this feat again. One of Robinson's most legendary performances during his peak came on February 17, 1994. It was on this night that David became just the 4th player in NBA history to record a quadruple-double. In a win against the Detroit Pistons, he tallied 34 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 blocks. This amazing feat, despite all the other amazing statistical games we have seen in the current-day NBA, has still not been done since the Admiral did it over 30 years ago. By the late 1990s, David Robinson had built a Hall of Fame resume, but one thing was missing: an NBA championship. That all changed in 1997, when the Spurs drafted Tim Duncan first overall in the '97 NBA draft. Rather than fight for the spotlight, Robinson selflessly embraced a secondary role, becoming the ultimate team leader and mentor to young Duncan. His sacrifice and leadership in this time of his career would help establish the legendary Spurs culture, setting the foundation for the dynasty that would dominate for years to come. Robinson's selflessness was ultimately rewarded with gold as he finally captured his first NBA championship in the lockout-shortened 1999 season. As David Robinson entered his late 30s, the toll of a grueling career began to show. His body ached, back spasms had flared up, and nagging injuries piled on. But through it all, he kept playing. From ages 32 to 36, he would miss just 18 games. But at age 37, before the 2002 to 2003 season tipped off, Robinson made it official. This NBA season would be his last. The Admiral was battling injuries, but he remained a vital force for the Spurs. Coach Pop managed the veterans' minutes carefully, knowing they would need him when it mattered most. And when the 2003 playoffs reached their dramatic conclusion, that strategy paid off in full. In his last game, Game 6 of the 2003 NBA Finals, David Robinson turned back the clock. He put up 13 points, pulled down 17 rebounds, and blocked 2 shots. A vintage performance on the biggest stage. With Robinson anchoring the paint one last time, the Spurs took down the New Jersey Nets, securing a second championship for a man who once wondered if he'd ever win even one. David Robinson wasn't just an elite superstar on the court. He was a model of professionalism, leadership, and selflessness. His combination of physical gifts, elite skills, and dedication to the game made him one of the greatest and most unique centers in NBA history. But more than that, he laid the blueprint for the modern big man. Almost all of today's greatest prospects coming into the league, those who blend size, speed, and versatility, owe a debt to the Admiral. Because before anyone else did it, David Robinson proved that a center could be more than just a log in the paint, but he could run the floor with the ball, face up, shoot jumpers, play defense, and do it all.